It is instructive in this regard to compare the world's military expenditures with its spending on climate change mitigation. At the UN Climate Summit in Copenhagen in 2009, it was agreed that wealthy countries would channel 100 billion a year to poorer nations to help them cope with the impacts of climate change. But the Green Climate Fund, set up by the UN, succeeded in raising only $10.43 billion and is now running out of money. It never came close to being funded at the level envisaged at the summit. But in that same period, the world's annual military expenditure has risen from slightly above $1.5 trillion to almost $2 trillion. To look these facts in the face is to recognize that it's a grave error to imagine that the world is not preparing for the disrupted planet of the future. It's just that it's not preparing by taking mitigatory measures or by reducing emissions. Instead, the world is preparing for war. The terrifying reality is that climate change will bring more war, and more war will bring more climate change. If there is any silver lining to this grim picture, it lies in the sudden rise and growth of an international climate movement in which young people, women, and indigenous peoples are playing increasingly important roles. I have great faith in the young activists who are now leading the climate movement around the world. I think they see and understand the world much better than people of my generation did. The climate movement is now our last hope for meaningful change, because all our governmental and political structures have completely failed to rise to the challenge. But whether activists succeed or not, it is now clear that climate change will continue to have devastating impacts on the human world for a long time to come. These impacts will not be confined solely to the environment. They will have major consequences also for our political, social, and economic systems. But for most of us who are alive today, our fate is to live in a time of transition in which the past is not quite dead and the future is not yet born. But the uncertainty of this time is also an opportunity in that it allows us to try to prevent the worst possible outcomes. It is important, I think, not to frame the struggle within the binary of hope and despair. Success is irrelevant to the struggle. We must persist with it because it is our duty as human beings to try to live decently in an increasingly